Hi, everybody. Coach Allison, and I have week 38 Defy Aging to go over with you. This week, there's two circuits of 4 exercises in each. Some sessions might run them simultaneously, and some sessions might just run one at a time, depending on how many people are in your session. So we'll see how that goes for each of your sessions. There's going to be 3 rounds, run of each circuit. They're going to reduce the time for each round. So round 1 is going to be 40 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Round 2 is 30 on, 30 off. And round 3 is 20 on, 30 off. So we've done this before, kind of a reducing the work time for each round. So that round 3 is going to feel very nice at only 20 seconds of work. Okay, let's review our exercises. First circuit, the first exercise involves one of these mini bands. It's going to be a mini band rear walk. So definitely recommend coaches put this station near a bench or a box so people can get in and out of this one sitting. So first of all, safety, right? But second of all, just the ease of getting in and out of it quicker too. So we don't have to kind of try to stand and do one leg at a time. I digress on that. So once you have it set, put it low around the ankle. So just at the top of the shoe there. And we're going to walk backwards. And it's not just walking backwards like this. There's a little catch to it. There's a little caveat to that. We want to do kind of a little glute kickback. So as I walk backwards, I'm going to kind of do a little kick, kind of kitty corner out first. And then I'm also walking backwards. Where's my bench? Okay, I don't want to run into that. So kind of from the side, it would look, oh, there's a hole in the floor there. Okay. From the side, it kind of looks like this. So it could be called like a glute kickback walk. I don't know. So we're not just, like I said, we're not just walking backwards. There's more to it than that. I'll show you from the back if that helps, just to get the, gist of what I'm doing. So I'm doing this little glute kickback with each step before I put the foot down. The goal is to be feeling that squeeze in like your glute, of course, but your hip and that piriformis. There is some balance involved here. So coaches put this station along a wall or the mirrors. Yeah, the mirrors might get a little fingerprint smudgy, so I apologize in advance to our maintenance people if they have to be wiping down fingerprints, or allowing the racks anywhere for our participants, for you, the clients, to be maybe putting their hand on the wall for balance, because balance can be one of the components, though, of the challenge, right? Components of the challenge, whatever. One thing to avoid, though, we don't want to be like leaning, try not to be leaning forward like this. We don't want to compensate too much by leaning. So try to stay relatively upright. You'll have a little natural forward lean. This is fine, but don't be like overcompensating by leaning too far forward. So we do want to look out for the forward lean. So that's station 1. Station 2, half kneel lateral raise. So the half kneel position we do quite often, both knees bent to 90 degrees. The side we're going to hold the dumbbell on is the side with the knee that's down, okay? And a lateral raise is raising that arm out to the side. It's also called a side raise. The other arm can just rest comfortably on this leg, or you can put it out to the side for balance, whatever is comfortable. So the arm is simply raising out to the side, but there's some more safety and form cues than you might think with this. Don't tilt to the side for compensation. Okay, keep that in mind. And we just need to keep a slight bend in the elbow. I see a lot of people just keeping a super straight arm when doing lateral raises. That's going to put the incorrect pressure, tension, whatever word you want to use, on your shoulder, but especially your elbow, which we don't want. That can lead to tendonitis of the forearm and the elbow, tennis elbow is what it's commonly called. Whatever, just don't do that. So maybe, I don't know if you can see better from the side, like this little bend that I'm having in my elbow. That's actually what we want with a side raise or a lateral raise. We don't want, I have a light enough weight where this is going to be okay to show you. What we don't want is this super straight arm. Super important, the most important safety thing. It's starting to hurt my knee, so I'm going to switch sides for a lateral raise. That being said, keep that soft bend in the elbow. Watch out for your wrist. We don't want the wrist to bend like this, okay? So that's not going to affect the shoulder component of this exercise, but it's just doing it properly. Wrist integrity. We always want everything neutral, everything in alignment. This is not in alignment. Now it is. It's going to help to strengthen your wrists over time as well. So keep that wrist nice and straight. Don't allow it to kind of do this. If you feel like you're needing to do this, the weight might be a little heavy for you at this time. So go down in weight. So all of that being said, we lift it to, if you can, about parallel to the floor. We don't have to go any higher and come up like this. If the weight you select, maybe you're only able to raise it to about here, it's too heavy, go to the next weight down. If we're finding we're needing to use a lot of body momentum and swinging like that, it's too heavy, go to the next weight down. Pardon me. Goodness. And yes, halfway through the set, we are going to switch sides. So be prepared at that halfway point to do that switch like I just did. So you'll lose a second or two doing that. Anyone who's unable to do the kneeling, we're going to turn into a staggered stance. Okay, same thing though, all the same cues apply. Don't swing, don't overly lift the arm, none of that stuff. All the same cues apply. Halfway through the set, we'll change sides. Exhale on the lift. Just remember not to straighten that arm all the way. We're not doing the straight arm lift. You have that soft bend in the elbow, and keep that wrist straight. Next station is the 3-point row. We did this 2 weeks ago, I believe. We're bringing it back. I have the 5 because that's just what I had, but I feel like everyone in our Defy can go heavier than 5 with this. And you know why I know this? Because I guarantee you lift something heavier than 5 pounds every single day in your home. I promise you do. So don't be afraid of heavy weights. Now, the reason I say that for this, maybe not a bicep curl, because we don't pick up something in our house every day and do this with it. And biceps are a smaller muscle, but a 3-point row, the exercise in our routine today, we stabilize yourself with that one arm. The leg that's back, that's the side that you're holding the weight with. This exercise, of course, you're using your arm because you can't lift a weight without holding onto it with your hand, right? It is a back exercise. It's using one of the biggest areas of muscle areas in our body. So we're using a big, strong area of the body. So if done properly using this area here, you can lift something heavier than 5 pounds. I guarantee every single person in our Defy program can. So that's why I said I just grabbed the 5 because it was what I was using for the previous exercise. But I know everybody watching this can go heavier than 5. I say everyone in Defy, every single one of you should go no lighter than 10 on this. I promise you. I don't care if it's your very first day in Defy. I don't care what your age is. I promise you, unless you have an injury that's being rehabbed right now, because there are weight restrictions for injuries, especially shoulder injuries. So that is the caveat. But if there's no injury in your shoulder or back, I promise you, I guarantee you pick things up at home heavier. Oh, shoot, put that out of the heavier than 5 pounds every day. You pick things up like that are heavier than 5 pounds. So that being said, let's go over our cues for this exercise really quick. I already kind of did. Pull up, make sure the shoulder is not shrugging. You're kind of guiding that weight slightly back towards the direction of the hip bone, somewhere between the lower ribs and the hip bone. Pull up, slightly back. I want you to feel like you're tucking that weight kind of right into that pocket right here. And again, focus on these muscles. Forget about the arm. Don't think of this as an arm exercise. Think of it as a back exercise because it is. All right. Remember that challenge I told you, no less than 10 pounds unless you have an injury or you're instructed by a physician to do less weight than that. Let's see how it goes. Final station for circuit 1, kettlebell racked contralateral step up. I know a lot of words. The racked position, we did it last week for the team builder, the racked carry, same position there with our kettlebell. So your coach will go over how to properly get the weight up there. Right now I'm just going to kind of get it up there and show you, but you start with it like this, palm in, we kind of rotate it around. See how it kind of nicely floated up and around? I rotated it. The bend in the kettlebell handle, not the center of the handle, but the bend is in between the pointer finger and the thumb, so it kind of rests comfortably in there. Elbow is kind of pointing down and out, so not straight out, not straight down, kind of at an angle in the middle. And my thumb is kind of right at my sternum, right at my chest. And then it really just kind of comfortably rests there. I'm not even having to grip for dear life on this handle. If you're wearing a watch, a wearable, it's not going to be watch friendly. So either take the watch off or put the watch part, flip it under. So maybe the watch part is on the underside of the wrist for this. Okay, all that said, the contralateral part of the name of this, I have the kettlebell in my right side. Contralateral basically means the opposite side. So I'm going to be doing my step up with my opposite leg. Okay, So I'm going to step up with my left and down with my left, and just keep that pattern going. So say up left, down left, up left, down left. If I just kind of keep saying that in my head, it kind of helps for me. Up left, down left. You're just holding this here, not moving it. This will tire out your delt, your shoulder muscle, a little bit of the upper chest muscle, and the arm. And the heavier you have with this, you'll start to notice some core fatigue as well. You can definitely kind of glance downward at your step. I highly recommend it, actually. Just make sure you're using your head and your eyes to look down, and you're not like leaning down to look at it, because that's going to make that kettlebell want to fall. Halfway through the set, we will flippity flop that weight to the other side. Oops, I stepped up with the wrong leg. And then, of course, we have to start stepping up with the other leg. So there's a lot of focus here, especially when we switch sides, because we're switching the kettlebell to the other side and switching the leg that we're stepping up with. So keep that in mind. But that's our kettlebell racked contralateral step up. Okay, team. This next one is challenging, tricky, new. It's called a prone delt over and back. Or that's what I called it, because I didn't know the real name of it. It's very similar. It's going to mimic something we do in our warm-up. So, and it's very challenging. So do your best. Okay, so in our warm-up, we have that prone delt raise, which is already very challenging if you are doing it and you know. We want something very small. I have the smallest weights we have at this club is a 2 pound, and we're not lifting this, don't worry. We just need something very small that raises off the floor very minimally. That's all we need here. So it could be, I don't know, just anything that lifts that's like an inch tall, half an inch tall, an inch tall. Okay. So we're going to put those right outside of the hands. Okay. Same position as our warm up, as our prone delt raise. Only now you can glance your head up just enough so that you can see what's happening here. So you don't have to be like this, because you can't see. So I'm going to lift my head, my stupid hair though. I'm going to lift my head just enough so that I can use my gaze, my eyeballs, and just kind of use my peripheral vision to see this. And I'm going to go up and over and switch sides. So again, I'm not lifting my chest like a Superman. Okay. If you have better range of motion, you want to go a little bit wider, make it more of a farther distance. Okay. That's a little tiny bit harder. Better range of motion. But the lower you can keep your chest, so I'm not coming up here. This is what we don't want. This makes it a little bit easier, and it takes away a little of the effect we want, the rear deltness of the exercise. So that's why I said I'm trying to just lift my eyes a little bit, not my chest. So I'm trying to actually keep my chest and my head very low. Again, so this is very different than this. This is what we're trying not to do. So please try to keep yourself as low, like my chin right now was just grazing the turf. So if you can keep your chin like pretty much almost grazing the turf and still see your hands, that's optimal. That's ideal. Okay. Now, for our participants that are unable to get to the floor, don't worry, we have you covered. My hair looks very brown in this lighting. We're going to do an incline bench, and I'll show you. We're going to do an IY, an incline bench IY raise. It's kind of a weird position, but it gets the job done. I should have had this kind of ready. You're going to be on an incline bench. You straddle it like this, and you lean forward on it. I promise these are secure. You're not going to face plant, okay? And we take those arms, we raise them forward and up as high as you can, come down, and then into a Y pattern. Probably should have put myself, a little more in the front so you can see the pattern of my arms. So, because they probably look identical from the side. Okay, come forward and up as high as you can, down, and then the Y comes out to an angle. And you just keep repeating those. I and Y. But I'm not lifting up like this. I'm not removing my chest from the bench. I'm just lifting the arms. Identical to the cue as the people on the floor. All right, so that is a new one. It's strange. It's one of our smaller movements, but it's almost one of the harder exercises, so give it a try. Minimal instruction needed with this. Band bicep curls, really the only thing I have to remind you of is just make sure the band is in the arch of the shoes. Or if you don't have arches in your shoes, they're very flat, to make sure it's in the center of your feet. If it's too close to the toes, it can kind of, when you're curling, it can like flip out like that. We don't want that. So arch of the shoe will lock it in. And keep your arms, your upper arms along your side, and do some nice controlled full range of motion curls. By upper arm glued to the side, I mean make sure we're not raising the arm forward or swinging the arm back. So instead keep that upper arm right against your side. Full range of motion refers to just making sure you're letting that arm come all the way down instead of kind of stopping it short, like stopping it right here, because we want a full extension at the bottom. So that is our band bicep curl. Jumping jacks is the next station. Don't think they need a ton of explanation. Standard jacks, so you're doing the full jump. Make sure those arms are doing big arm swings, and we're kind of staying away from the little movements. We want this to be a big movement, so we're getting the most benefit out of it. This is our cardio station anyways. Anyone unable to do the jumps, no problem. We got you covered. We're going to do a full step jack. So notice how I'm getting a full step as opposed to the tap. We went over this a few weeks ago in my demo. I have a strong opinion about that as I went over. You just get better. You get more movement. So you're getting more out of a full step as opposed to tapping the foot where my body is staying stationary. Okay. If you're doing the step jack, make sure with each step, you're getting a full up and down arm instead of like one step up, other step down. Instead of that, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So we're getting all of that good movement in there to get the most calorie burn, higher heart rate, and get all of that movement. That's our jumping jack station. Final station is a goblet sit to stand. I have the camera at an angle for a reason. Goblet position, so we have our kettlebell. We're going to hold it goblet style. Some people kind of prefer to hold the handles or kind of the bell, so whichever is more comfortable for you. But we're holding it at the chest, but at the chest doesn't mean against it, so we're not letting it like rest on the body. Keep it an inch away from the body, okay? And we're going to have, your coach might have a full bench or one of the boxes, anything to sit on that's sturdy. You can start by sitting on it. That way you just know where it is. I mean, I think that's best. So it's a full sit to stand. So we want a squat position. So we want the heels kind of directly under the knees. So we don't want to start them way back here or out here. So just straight down from the knees. Okay. So now I know my bench is right there. Now, there's such a thing as a box squat, which is a squat where you tap your butt to the bench. That's not what we're doing. We're doing a full sit to stand. So I'm going to take a full sit, like pause for don't put the weight down. Pause for long enough, meaning like 1 second, to know that your full body weight is down. And then we fully stand up. Right back down. My full body weight's down. Okay. Now, I wanted to put myself at an angle so you could see a couple things. I'm not swinging my body back like this. First of all, we don't want to get so much momentum that we tip backwards, first of all. Second of all, though, if we do this swinging thing like this, what am I doing here? I'm using momentum to get up, and that's not going to injure you. That's not poor form per se. But we also want to make sure, though, that we're using our muscles to get up. That's the point, to use the muscles to get them stronger. So think of it like coming down, sitting for a moment, take out any of that upper body swaying or swinging. Try to avoid any of this. Come right back up. Instead of doing that, engage your core muscles, your hips and glutes, and your legs here to do all the work. Okay. You'll have a little natural forward lean as you stand. That's normal. But try to avoid the leaning back and thrusting forward. Okay, so that's why I wanted to show you me from the angle there. Also, this kind of goes along with the swinging, but we're not, because this would be an excessive swing. We're not picking up the feet. So feet are always planted on the floor. So that is our goblet, kettlebell, goblet, sit to stand. Our team builder finisher is a single leg balance. So no assistance allowed on this. That's kind of the point, to see how we do without any assistance. Trying to lift one knee up, trying to get the thigh parallel to the floor. That means about a 90-degree bend in this knee without holding on to anything. If you feel, if you're worried about falling, legit, totally legit, be near a wall. So it's there. And then when you kind of feel yourself about to go, then you have the wall there. But we're not doing an assisted balance. So we're not doing this for the duration of the hold. The point and the fun of this team builder is to see how long See how long each person can hold the balance, even if it's 3 seconds. That's okay. We're testing our balance this week. We're going to do each side for a minute. We're going to time a full minute. Unless everyone gets done in less than a minute, then we can just cut it off. And everyone can jot down their time if they feel comfortable. I know most people will repeat Defy 2, 3, some people even 4 times a week, which is amazing, and I love that. So we can jot those times down on the mirror. You can use your initials if you want to, or some other descriptor to help you remember that it's you up on the mirror with the dry erase markers. And each time you come back this week, you can try to beat your time for right L and R for left and right leg. Try to beat your time. So maybe you get 5 seconds on one leg on Monday, and then you come back on Wednesday and you get 10 seconds, and that's amazing. So that's what we're going to do for our team builder this week, working on that single leg balance. All right, and that is week 38. I hope everyone enjoyed some of the new movements this week, and I'll see you back next week.